So our process changed quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we really elevated our professionalism. So one thing we started doing is planning out a site plan before we go out to the project, and even some design concepts using our rendering and drawing program. We now offer that to any of the Sterling customers, but on each of our projects, I'm actually showing up with a full-scale drawing and renderings and drawings. When I go to the home, I'm gonna have a number of things I bring with me, and I'm a huge proponent of going inside the house. So often I see lighting guys where they'll knock on the door, lighting girls, they knock on the door, and they just start walking around the outside and instantly just get into lighting. What I want to do is I actually want to take time to educate the customer. So I want them to know the difference between the different types of products out there, different design techniques, different design ideas, and I want to spend that time inside the house. So what I'll do is I'll have my renderings, I'll have my drawings, I'll actually bring a book out that shows different lighting techniques from different lighting designers, and I bring products. I'll also bring an integrated light, and then I'll bring some Sterling lighting products. And so what I want to do during the process is talk about our history, what we've done, our successes, our customer experience. I want to go through all the main points of why somebody would want to do business with us, but then I want to get into lighting design techniques, ideas, the tools that help us achieve that in the products and the selection they have. There's a wide variety of products out there, from a $20 import light to a $400 or $500 luminaire. And I want to talk to the customer a little bit like why there's such a variance in cost of the actual products being installed. So that first 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to talk design, we're going to talk products, and we're going to go through some concepts on their property. And that's all before I've gone outside. When we go and meet with a client, there's a number of things that we want to get across to the customer. So we do want to talk about our designs, our achievements, and our products. But one thing that I think almost all salespeople do is they talk too much, and they talk about themselves way too much. So I think it's so important to talk to the customers and ask questions. You know, what do they use the space for? What's most important? Maybe it's getting into, you start really determining, maybe we're just going to do the front, or maybe we're just going to start in the back. They just built a pool and they just really want some lighting around the pool. So that's what I want to find out during that initial design consultation. Is I want to really talk to the customer and find out what's important to them. And often a husband and wife are going to have different ideas. So she may want to light the front of the house because when she pulls up in the driveway, she wants it to feel safe and beautiful. He may be more interested in the back, or vice versa. So I want to try and find out what their priorities are. The next thing I want to do is actually go inside, when I'm inside the house, is to start looking out the windows. And there is a term that I always talk to customers about, veiling reflections, where when you're sitting in a house and the lights are reflecting off the window, you can't see out the windows. And we want to break that plane and really bring the indoors out. So when they're sitting inside the house, each window becomes a piece of art. You know, we spend so much time bringing the outdoors in during the day, and big windows and beautiful viewing angles, and then at night we let it all disappear. And most lighting designers never take the time to be inside the house to see what they're looking out. In fact, they just get surprised when the customer calls them and said, I was looking out my living room window and this is such a beautiful scene, and they never actually took time to look at that. So I want to talk about that on the inside. And then at that point is where we go outside. And I want to hear about what the customer likes, what their interests are, and at that point is where I might be adjusting my design. I'm going to have how I would design a home and what I would do for my own and give my suggestions, but I'm not the one living in the house. So everybody has a little different taste, a little different style. So that's where I'm going to customize it, not only to their property, but also to what they're telling me. So now that I've walked around the property and I've talked to the customer, that's where I'm now making a decision. I believe if it's under 40 or 50 lights, a lot of times I could spend maybe 45 minutes to an hour and a half outside, and I'm going to look at the electrical requirements, I'm going to look at the design, start sketching out some notes for myself, and write a detailed proposal. So a lot of times I could do that within an hour. One of my designers can really write up a proposal like that on the spot, and I get to present it to it right there. So if the project isn't a large-scale project, we could oftentimes go out with the customer, meet with them, spend an hour to an hour and a half talking to them about lighting, and then at that point it may take me anywhere from 30 minutes to another hour and a half to write a fully detailed estimate showing everything we're going to do on the install, any requirements we have, crossing sidewalks, driveways, other challenges that may go into the actual installation. And at that point, if I can, I'm going to write up a proposal right there. If it's a more complicated project, then I'm going to take videos and notes. I typically go through a whole process where I first take photos of everything, I then take notes on each thing, and then I do a video series walking through each section of the property. For myself, at that point is usually where I'm going to go home and start working on my proposal. I found it very comfortable doing it at night. At night, I'll just sit down on the computer and I'll watch my videos, look at my photos, look at my notes, and I'll be able to come up with a fully detailed proposal. I want everything spelled out so we know exactly what's going to happen on the installation. So what I'd like to do is work on that and then come back maybe in 2 or 3 days and meet with them again. I believe a good proposal is going to be very detailed. It's almost a work order that I could hand to just about anybody and they could go install it according to my specifications. So I want to have a detailed proposal that lists out the fixtures that are being used, the light level that we're choosing, the field angle that we're going to choose, how many wire rolls we're going to need, how many wire runs we're going to have, the connections, and I'm actually building all of that into the proposal. So we're listing out everything we're going to do in that proposal. At that point, I do think a final rendering and drawing is very helpful to showcase the level of professionalism. Wire diagramming is something else that I believe in, is actually determining the wire runs, the voltage drop. If it's a simple project that we're putting 15 lights on in the front of a house, I don't really have to go through that much detail of having full wire diagrammings and renderings. I might be able to write up the proposal and give a detailed fixtures transformer, where the transformer is going to be located, how we're controlling it, whether it's a Lutron system or one of our lighting control systems. And the other thing I like to do is I like to break down a proposal. So I don't like to confuse a customer. Personally, I don't offer lots of product choices. What I found 26 years of doing this is if a customer has too many choices to make, they shut down. And they say, this is overwhelming, I'll come back to it. And it might be 6 months later before they think about it. So I want to take away some of the decisions to make things crystal clear. I may have a level 1, level 2, level 3 pricing strategy, and it may be sections of the property. So I want everything to look complete and whole, and so I may tell a customer, let's just look at the front of the house as level 1. Second area might be the pool, patio, deck, and the third area is all the tree lines and back of the property. So we're dividing it up so we can find something that works in their budget on the lower end, and also what I would do if I have more freedom and if their budget allows for it. But I don't want to just go in and blow them out of the water and say, hey, this is a $65,000 proposal, and they had no idea what the cost was going to be. I want to give an option to say, we could still do a dramatic impact for X, this will look even better, and this will look even better. So we're staging it for them and trying to make the decision process as easy as possible. When I go into the actual proposal presentation, that's where I really want to elevate my game at that point. I want the customer to be excited for what this product's going to look like, what the system's going to look like, and I want to showcase a level of professionalism. Often I found that I'm having 3, 4, 5 different competitors coming out, and I really want them to remember us. That if they didn't go with us, and I've gotten calls from somebody and letters from someone said, I went with another company, it's 3 years later, I really wish I went with you. So I want to stick in their mind like, we know what we're doing, we're going to offer a great experience and a great design and do everything to our best of our ability. So that's where the renderings and drawings can help out, because if they've gotten multiple proposals, they probably look very similar. It's just an Excel spreadsheet or a QuickBooks proposal written out real quick and just says 16 lights, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and transformer. And so if I could come with a detailed drawing that's going to showcase what we're going to do and then some concepts through a rendering program, that just elevates the proposal itself. On the proposal, we have everything electronic. So we use a CRM, that's ServiceMinder. There's a number of them that will do the same thing, but it allows me to pick and choose. So we could say front of the property, back of the property, and we could segment it into a couple of choices for them. I also like to print it out. I just find most people like something tangible. So we'll print it out, I'll put it in a nice folder, have my business card, all there, and I'm going to leave that with them, and I'm then going to email them the proposal. And what I'll do is I'll just go through my computer screen and walk them through the entire proposal. answer any questions they have, and I think the most important thing is having confidence. So when you're presenting it, the expectation is that we should be making a decision at this point, one way or the other. Like, if you don't want to do it, that's great. If you tell me the plan is I'm going to do it, but it's 6 months from now, that's great. But I just want to find out, what we're doing on the proposal process and if they're wanting to move forward or not. So we're just going to go through, I'm going to walk through it step by step, and then I'm just going to simply ask, would you like to move forward? And usually it's, I can go ahead and get this project in on X date. We'll take care of Miss Utility, we'll take care of everything, and I'll send the slide the proposal over to them, and then I just remain quiet and let them think about it. The most important thing for any lighting designer to do on their proposals is have confidence. So fake it if you have to, but that confidence is so important. There's so often that I've lacked confidence at times where I present the price and then immediately start explaining it, backtracking, telling them why I think it's expensive and I know it's expensive, and or cutting my margins as well, where I've said this is going to be an $18,000 project, but we do this, 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 and this, and I could even offer a discount, and I just talk too much. So if we have confidence, we're going to present the price. We have to believe in the service that we're providing. Any lighting designer has to know the level of work that's going to go in to do it right, the quality of the product that's going to be put in, and they have to have confidence, like, I'm charging a fair price. And if they have that, they're going to present the proposal, and then we just need to learn to be quiet. Let the customer think about it. Let the customer come up with questions, and don't panic. If a customer says, I'll do it, but I'll do it for some ridiculous number, $5,000 off, that's where I just sit there and simply have confidence that I can't do that. I can help out a little bit here, I could take out a product, but I'm not discounting my overall value. So I want to make sure that the job is profitable for my business, for my people working for me, for myself, and it's a good value for the customer. And there are times that we will walk away from projects if the customer just really wants to go rock bottom, because that's not who we're offering our services to. If I'm going to pay my guys well, and I'm going to deliver a great product line, and I'm going to do a great installation, all of that is expensive. I'm trying to build that up throughout the entire beginning of the presentation. Is talking about my team, our licensing and our accreditations, everything I'm building up, so they know we're not going to be the low-end, low-price company. And unfortunately, a lot of times we get too much head trash, and we panic when a customer wants discounts, and we think everybody wants a discount, and we end up just getting those customers that want high discounts, low margins, and those businesses are the ones I see that go out of business. I've probably had over 100 competitors in my market in the last 25 years, and all but 3 of them are out of business over that 25-year period. So if we're going discount, it's usually a race to the bottom, and what we want to do is we want to find the best customers that value our time, and we value their time and their property, and really make things look amazing. So, and when that combination happens together, you're going to find that they're going to refer you to other people that have similar mindsets, and you get a better client base. I am always looking on how I can improve, and one thing, if you really want to challenge yourself, is just record yourself. Take your phone and record yourself on a presentation. There's always the presentation that you plan to give, the presentation you gave, and the presentation you should have given. And we don't catch ourselves on how we act, what we say, little things we do that could be annoying. There's been times where I've clicked a pen because I'm just nervous, and I'm doing something like that could be driving somebody crazy, and somebody else points it out, or bring somebody else out. Find a trusted lighting designer or a trusted person in your company and say, just watch me. So we have to be open to critique. I know there's things I can improve on my presentation, and I think it's important that if I'm going to record myself, I'm just listening to how I sound, what I can do better, and I'm always striving to make that appointment as valuable as possible for that client, and to also communicate as effectively as possible. At Sterling Lighting, we have a great team of people that will talk to you, will give their suggestions. They've worked with some of the best lighting designers. I'm available. If you have questions, you could call me, text me. We also do roundtables. So every 2 weeks, I make myself open to anybody in our lighting group. And we have the Landscape Lighting Legends. It's our community of lighting professionals, and there's a lot of great discussions. And if you have questions, you could ask questions on the Legends platform. and there's a lot of people that can help you. So you're not in this alone. There's a lot of people in our industry that'll help, and Sterling Lighting is here for you to grow your business, for you to grow in your design skills, and for you to continue to thrive and do great.